Welcome to Section 420, Talkin Yankees, the podcast. Well, one down, one more to go. Yankees one game away from being eliminated from the 2025 season, dropping game one against the Boston Red Sox at home by a score of 3-1 with the Yankees choke away a lead there, and towards the end give you a little bit tease there in the ninth against Aroldis Chapman, but come up short and have to take the 3-1 loss, and now again, one more loss away from being eliminated entirely from the 2025 season, so it all comes down to this game too. So look back at the game, comment on it. Obviously a lot of controversy with Boone taking Fried out maybe a little too early, going with Weaver, who ends up blowing the game, and that whole deal. So we're getting to hold that as well. Again, preview game two. They get right back into it. So make sure you subscribe to this podcast. Section 420 Talkin Yankees, the podcast, wherever you get your favorite podcast. And there's also a YouTube version of the show. Just dropped an episode yesterday as well, covering some of the stuff, this preview, and some of the stuff I mentioned before with the Red Sox that, maybe they don't home run you to death, but they hit more than the Yankees do. And that was kind of what the case would happen last night, keeping the ball in the park there, but coming away with the 3-1 win. So make sure you subscribe on YouTube as well. So game one was kind of what you thought it was going to be between Fried and Crochet, kind of almost similar to the last time Boston visited the Yankees, and Crochet took a 1-0 win against Fried there, so you had a bit of a pitcher's duel. This was shaping up the other way, except on this time around, it was Fried with the 1-0 lead thanks to of all people, Anthony Volpe, opposite field home run, a little bit of a flare there. Of all people, again, people didn't want Volpe on this team anymore. Puts the Yankees ahead 1-0, and everything was set up for the Yankees to go the rest of the way because the controversial decision in the seventh inning, Boone deciding to yank out Max Fried after he got one more lefty out, and the whole deal is like, well, do you keep him in there? I mean, he's kind of rolling along there. It's his game. He's your ace. Or do you go with what was supposed to be your strength, your weapon, which is this bullpen, which is stacked, and the Yankees end up going with Weaver, and of course, Weaver gives a walk-up right away, followed by a double and a 2-run single, and before you know, the Yankees blown the 1-0 lead behind 2-1. I know Bednar gave up another run there, whatever, he charged another run there in the ninth, but at that point, it almost seemed like body language-wise, the game was over, and it was that pivotal moment there when they went to Weaver, and of course, that's going to be obviously the big huff if the Yankees end up getting eliminated from this wild card round. Now, look, I can understand Boone's point on this one. It's like, all right, how long do I keep pushing this guy? I mean, yeah, I know Fried said before the game, I'm ready to empty tank, but, how long can you go with them? And you have to also, win this game, but you also got to look at your series ahead of the guy. So how far do you really want to push this guy? And again, at this point, you have a bullpen that's well rested, and even though they haven't really performed the way we thought they would, this was supposed to be a strength, was the bullpen. I mean, that was the whole idea. So I understand on Boone's thinking there where, all right, well, if I stick with my guy, and then he does give up a couple of runs, everyone's going to criticize, say, hey, why'd you leave Fried in there? You got a well-rested bullpen. You got, Weaver, you got Duvall, you got Devin Williams. I don't even want to mention that name, but nevertheless, he there. Then you got all these guys lined up. Why not go to the strength as opposed to the bullpen? So it's one of those things where damned if you do, damned if you don't. Again, depends on the feel of the game now. Look, you're going up against the bottom of the Red Sox order, so you could justify yourself just leaving Fried in there. It's not like he's going against the heart of the order there, but at the same time, too, if you have this well-rested bullpen, and Weaver was like your guy last season, if you remember. I know, obviously, this regular season, he hasn't been as effective as he was last year during the postseason, where he was almost untouchable. He only had really one blip on the screen. That was that home run against the walk-off home run against Cleveland, one of those games there. But other than that, you went to a guy that was money for you in the postseason last year, and he just didn't get it done. And you can say, well, look, that was the postseason last year. This regular season for Weaver, I've said it a million times, has not been the same guy. Really have to start the season, but especially even though when he came back from the groin injury, again, he's had some good outings there. You can't say he's terrible, but look at the ERA stuff. He hasn't been as effective. Still with that, it's a guy that you trusted for a while. You trusted him in big spots last year during the postseason run. So I can't really hammer Boone on it. And it's not like he put in Devin Williams. Like, if you would have put in Devin Williams after we've seen him, because a lot of people say crap the bed so many times in a lot of these big spots for the Yankees, yeah, then you get on Boone. But even as bad as, maybe as inconsistent as Weaver has been this season, I still can't put that too much on Boone in that situation. I understand why you want to take him out. And again, you have this bullpen. That's the whole idea. You stack these guys up and you made those moves at the trade deadline to have this super bullpen. Well, use it. But unfortunately, in this case, it didn't happen there. And of course, Boston taking the 3-1 lead. And of course, in the ninth inning, poetically, Chapman comes out and the Yankees get him on the ropes with a couple of hits there and a bloop. But unfortunately, Chapman, instead of melting down, which we've seen him do in his final season in the Yankee uniform, able to collect himself, get a big strikeout against Stanton, as well as a pop-up to Jazz, and then another strikeout to Grisham. So Chapman be able to buckle down with the bases loaded there. And maybe, the Yankees were basically one swing away from having an amazing bottom of the ninth walk-off, which would have been a great grand slam. But, of course, not having the Yankees falling short there after teasing you a little bit there in the ninth inning. You say, well, maybe if the game was 2-1, it'd be different. Yeah, but again, this game was lost when they went with Weaver in that spot there. Just because, again, he didn't want to push Fried. Whereas, look in the other dugout, Alex Cora pushed Crochet to his season-high maximum, 117 pitches, allowed him to go into the eighth inning. And really, after he gave up the Volpe home run, he pretty much mowed the Yankees down until he surrendered another hit in the eighth inning there. So you want to get on Boone for that decision, but hey, look, you got to get also on this offense. Can you score more than one run? And the one run was a little kind of an opposite field, kind of, I'm not going to say it's a total Yankee Stadium home run. I mean, did it go about 15 rows back? But still, maybe a lot of other ballparks may have been off the walls like that. So, I mean, could you put the wood on some balls? And same thing, too. The bottom of the ninth inning, you got Chapman on the rope, bases loaded, no out. I mean, it doesn't get any pressure packed than that. And you can't at least scratch another run across, make it 3-2 or something. So everyone's going to blame Boone, but you also got to put on the offense. And look, and Crochet is a great pitcher as well, so we know that. So you got to give him some credit for that. But look, this is yet again a situation where a good team came in with good pitching, and the Yankees couldn't beat them. And right now, there's continuing this narrative of, they could bully and beat up the White Sox and the Baltimore Orioles of the world. But when you got a good team and a good pitcher there, they seem to struggle. And this is definitely case in point here in this game one. So the Yankees drop it. Now, that all being said, and if you want to go back to the most recent YouTube episode, I did feel like this was going to go 3 games. I don't think, either team was going to sweep the other one there. I do feel good about this game too. I think just the relief of not having Crochet in there just helps the batters. Now, I'm not saying Bello's a pushover, but versus Crochet, I'd rather face Bello. So I think you will see a little bit more from the offense. Now, on the flip side, I don't think Rendon's going to shut them down the way Fried shut them down. You got to assume their offense is going to wake up a little bit. So I can see this game 2 being a little bit more of a high-scoring affair, but I think the Yankees will at least take game 2, push us to a game 3, and then we'll kind of see where it goes from there. So, yes, obviously a disappointing start. You would like that have that game 1 win, where then at that point, I feel like maybe the Yankees would be able to sweep and take the first 2 games there. But I still like the Yankees' chances overall, so not going to, oh my God, doom and gloom at this point yet. I would expect the offense to wake up a little bit. Rendon's been pretty solid for the Yankees. He had a couple good starts there, but his last one against the World Series against the Dodgers, he had a bit of the blister issue and really wasn't that effective there. But I think you're going to get a good start from him. I don't think it'll be as good as Fried's maybe, but I think he'll keep the Yankees in the game. And I can see maybe game 2 going to something like a 6-3 Yankee win if I had to predict this. So I think the offense will wake up a little bit more there. But of course, if the Yankees end up losing this game, it's all going to go back to that decision whether Boone should have stuck with Fried a little bit more or go with Weaver. It's a coin flip decision. You always Monday quarterback, the whole thing like that. But again, it's just, I did put him on the offense. I mean, can you score more than 1 run and not put yourself in that position? And you're getting to the point where, like, you don't have to put up 10 runs. Nobody's expecting 4 home runs in a game there, but, can you score more than 1 run? And some of the other headlines out of the game, of course, the Jazz not starting. I understand, look, Jazz been had a really great season, hitting over the 30 home runs and all that. He's kind of, again, been a real cornerstone of the team at this point there. But then you sit him for game 1 of this series. Well, look, you can't blame when you look at the numbers. Rosario's 6 for 9 against Crochet, 6 for 9. That's like better than 500. So you can't have a guy that's 6-9 against this guy versus, look at Jazz, he's a lefty. You're going to put Jazz in a lefty-on-lefty situation. Yeah, could he gotten lucky and lucked into one and hit a home run? Yeah, maybe. But you can't argue the numbers when Rosario was 6 for 9 lifetime against Crochet. So I don't blame Boone for that decision. In fact, it would be almost like irresponsible if he would have started Jazz and have Jazz go up there and probably strike out 3 times against a hard-throwing lefty there. So that's not a good matchup for Jazz. So I don't mind Boone going Rosario in that one. Of course, Jazz was kind of sulking around a little bit before and after the games. Like, I understand, look, you want to play, you want to be in there, you're a starter, I get the whole thing, but not really the best attitude. But again, that's kind of Jazz. He kind of has his emotions on his shoulder a little bit there, so I don't think it'll be any sort of long-term thing there, but you can't argue the numbers there, 6 for 9 there. So again, this is a little bit bad luck in that regard. It'd be nice if he would came through there to justify it, but that wasn't the case. So game 1 in the books didn't go too well for the Yankees, but game 2, get right back at it, so that's what you like there, and I think the Yankees should be able to tie this one up, and then we'll see what goes on in game 3. All hands on deck. Catch you next time.